Hi, it's Pete Martin, the founder and CEO of Ask My Board and the co-creator of the 8-Figure Exits program. Hey, this tip is all about if you don't do this when you exit, you're not going to like your exit. I call this the earnout or burnout type of scenario. What I'm talking about is how instrumental and engaged you are in the business has a big impact on exactly what your exit looks like. If you are responsible, for instance, of all the sales in your business and you sell your company, then you're going to be in an earnout situation. So if you're not familiar with what an earnout is, it works like this. Let's just say I'm going to give you $1 million for your company, okay? But because you are responsible for the sales and I'm most interested in the future of the business in terms of my ability to get a return on it, then I'm going to say, okay, Mr. or Miss Business Owner, I'm going to give you $1 million for your business. However, I'm going to give you $500,000 cash, and I'm going to give you the remaining $500,000 over 3 years if you meet some certain performance criteria, like the business needs to continue to grow in sales, it needs to generate profits, and it needs to generate the amount of cash flow that I'm expecting in order for me to get a return on my investment. So you need to stay with the company for 3 years, or you're only going to get the $500,000. This is a very, very, very typical situation in a lot of exits. And a lot of business owners don't understand this, or they don't really know about this. Because again, most business owners get the chance to sell their business once. And our whole effort is to try to educate you to avoid all the potholes. So if you do not figure out a way to delegate critical functions in the business, then you're going to be in a situation where you're going to have an earnout. Now, let me give you a very personal story. So I sold my last business to KPMG for 12 times EBITDA. About a year before I knew that I wanted to sell the business, I consciously, strategically started pulling myself out of the day-to-day business. I was responsible for a lot of the operations. I was responsible for a fair bit of the sales, not all the sales, but I definitely was very instrumental in sales. What ended up happening, which was really super interesting, and it was kind of an ego bust to me, is as I started pulling myself out of those functions, the business actually grew faster. I'm a natural sales guy. You may or may not be able to tell from the videos. And so I really put a lot of effort into teaching the leadership team that were running the various business units how to sell, taking a lot of the stuff that I'd known over 25 years. I got trained in selling from IBM and from SAP and all kinds of courses. And so I was able to give those folks that knowledge, and the business just took off. And thank God I did that, because that was my 4th exit. And I knew from my first 3 exits that if I was that fundamental to the company, I was going to be involved in that earnout situation that I just described to you. So I'm happy to say, because I did that, that I had no earnout. Not only that, I'll tell you a little story, is when I was going through the deal, we finished off due diligence, and I knew the deal. I just kind of could tell the deal got stuck. And so I called up my business sponsor and said, hey, I feel like the deal is stuck here. What's going on? And he said, I don't know. And I said, well, who's going to sign the paperwork? And he said, the vice chairman. And I said, great, then give me a meeting. And he's like, you want a meeting with the vice chairman of KPMG? Really? And I'm like, yeah, if you want to get the deal done, I want this meeting. So I fly to New York. I met with the vice chairman of KPMG, and I really had anticipated a lot of things that might come up, but what came up was not what I expected. And what that was he said, look, Pete, we acquire a lot of companies every single year. We've never acquired a company where the founder and CEO was not going with the deal. And that was the deal, that I was done literally the day we closed. And he said, that gives me a lot of concern. Why are you not going with the deal? I said, aha. What you're buying is you're buying the book of business, you're buying the team that's doing all the business development, all the selling, all the client contracts, all the intellectual capital, all this kind of stuff. None of it has anything to do with me. And in fact, over the last 12 months, if you look at all the clients we signed, I can tell you who the company is. I can't tell you one single person that is involved in that particular project, and was able to convince them of that. And said, if you want to go talk to the folks, they'll tell you the exact same thing. So I tell you this because it's that important that you need to be thinking about well in advance of an exit, how you pull yourself out of the business. I did a special PDF for you called the 4 Degrees of Delegation, and it will help you think through how you can actually delegate the roles that you're playing in the business and do it with actually more control than you probably have today. It's a really profound, great way to think about the business. We also have, as part of our 8-figure exits program, we have a very specific tool. Let me show you the screen here. That's super cool. Called the Delegator, and it actually helps you prioritize specifically what you should be delegating and when, and what degree of delegation. So it takes some of the concepts from the PDF that you can download and do this on your own, and really gives you a very actionable tool so that you know by day, by week, by month, what you should delegate when, in priority order, to whom, and what kind of feedback loop you need in terms of that thing that you delegate. So there's some things where you shouldn't be delegating out. There are some things that you can delegate and just forget about it, kind of get it off your plate, but put the performance metrics in place so that you know if that job is getting done correctly. And then there's some things where you want to delegate it, but you need that feedback loop and review process to know how it's going. So this tool helps you think through all those things in your business that you're working on and how you can be a more effective delegator. We also have an employee satisfaction survey. It's very similar to Net Promoter Score on the customer side, if you're familiar with that. In fact, this is called the ENPS. And it's a way to survey your employees to figure out potentially who's maybe thinking about leaving, how happy are they, how loyal are they, and what do you need to be doing inside your business to make sure that you hold on to those very, very special people. So if you're interested in that, obviously, please let us know. But we think you'll get a lot of value out of the 4 degrees of differentiation, and we'll see you on the next step.